Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prospero Pod, the podcast that focuses on the people of Prospero Health. I'm Nathan, your host, and today I'm joined by Lindy. She's here to talk about her time with Prospero Health and what her life has been like with the company. Lindy, it's good to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So really today I want to talk about you and your time with the company. So could you expand on how long you've been with Prospero Health and really just kind of what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been here about 3 months, and I am in the role of business analyst. So I've been tasked with the scheduling and routing piece of our company and really kind of building the system to make sure that the clinicians have what they need, and we're building a system that can help support them as they go see patients in the field.
Okay, so would you say that this is your first position in healthcare, or do you have previous experience in the field?
I have previous experience in the field, none in actually what I'm doing right now, but I've been in healthcare for about 10 years, and so I started out as a medical office assistant and just have progressively worked my way up and into other things.
Okay, so how do you think that those roles have propelled you into your position with this company?
I think it's helped a lot. So I, in previous roles, have been in positions where I've had to make decisions and assist people and problem solve. And I think that all of those things are key factors in what I do now. As product owner for our scheduling and routing software, they look to me as, okay, so what do we want to do? I make those decisions, I move forward, and just usually use those problem solving skills that I've built to work through some of the things that I think clinicians may see when they're in the field, and what our care support specialist will encounter as they're trying to schedule for clinicians that aren't necessarily in their market.
Yeah, so with that being said, everyone has a why. I know at Prospero Health, we always talk about like the why. So why did you join Prospero Health and what keeps you here?
So I know that a lot of people have a very personal connection with palliative care. I actually don't. So I think that is a little bit different for me. I don't know anybody that has experienced palliative care or actually used it. The why for me is that the role itself spoke to me. I am a natural problem solver. I like to figure things out. I like to leverage myself as a resource of knowledge and information for people and just for things in general, whether it's at work or at home or anywhere else. So the role of business analyst just really made sense for me at a time in my life where I want to expand my skill sets. And since I haven't done this type of role before, it just made sense for me to take myself out of maybe clinic management and move into this so that I can just kind of round out more of those healthcare skills that I've built.
Yeah, so with you being a business analyst, I know that this is a startup company, so I'm just wondering, what does the day-to-day look like in your position? Because I know a lot of people are probably curious about that.
Day-to-day right now is lots of calls, lots and lots of calls where I'm working with the team in Minneapolis a whole lot and working with clinicians, whether we're doing testing on the system, working with Nancy, our trainer, to make sure that we have the material that's appropriate for our clinicians, getting that feedback from any training or testing that we've done, incorporating that, working with different leaders and the different project managers that we have, just to make sure that, just since we are a startup company, there's so many moving pieces. So making sure that all of our cogs are fitting into place and making the whole system work and work in a way that makes sense. So every day is a little bit different. All of them involve calls, and you can have 1 to 2 calls, and then you just end up with so many calls as the day progresses. But it really makes sense for us because working with the other teams that are in Boston, Minneapolis, and here in Memphis, it's been really cool to see it all come together.
Yeah, so the fact that I'm just going to play on the last word that you said, it's cool to be here. What would you say is your favorite part of your job so far?
Oh, I love the autonomy of being able to make some of the decisions in that the leadership and the organization has trusted me and given me this responsibility to say, hey, we need this, this, and this, so show us what you can do. I love that, but I also just love the people. I think that even just in this small startup, and being in a startup, you have this small team, and so starting with them and being really close with everybody that's working here so far, and then just seeing it expand and grow and getting to know everybody as they come on board has been so much fun for me. I really enjoy it because I just feel like I have more of a connection with the people that I'm working with, since you kind of start in the ground floor and you're seeing everybody come in, you're seeing it grow on not just a weekly or monthly or yearly basis, but on a daily basis, and how far we have come and just how far we have left to go, and that we just continue to do that together.
So with that whole team building aspect, you don't notice any clickiness, since, this company hasn't been around for a long time. I guess there's not much room for that, is there?
There isn't a lot of room. I mean, obviously people have the people that they work most closely with, and that people you go to on a day-to-day basis. But to be completely honest, I mean, it seems that everybody here, especially within our Memphis office, which I have the most experience with, is that everybody is so personable and can approach anybody, and that it's never, oh, you can't sit here, or you can't do this, or we're doing this. And if somebody needs some help or assistance on anything, everybody is so quick to jump up and say, okay, what can I do? And it's really just, it has been a team effort. So the fact that there hasn't been a lot of separation between levels of leadership, or even just people that we have, it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, I think I've noticed as much in the time that I've been here as well. It's a really great culture. And moving on from your favorite part of the job, I want to ask you, is there anything that you find especially rewarding about your position?
Yes. I think seeing the idea come from just an idea and building bullet points of what we want in a system, and then actually taking that and building the system, that has been the biggest reward for me. Obviously, it's the most tangible for me, but seeing it just come from an idea, and that we need such and such and such, and now I'm actually using the system and testing the system and saying, this works, this doesn't work, we need to make this better, and we're building all of those things for the end user. I think that a lot of times companies will focus on customers, patients, this, and this first. But what I've seen here, and what's really rewarding for me, is that we're not just focused on the customer and the patient and empowering them to live their best lives, but supporting the users that are using our system. So our care support team, our clinicians, our admin people. We really want to make a system that makes a lot of sense for them, because they're in it every day. It doesn't make sense for it to just serve the patient, or for it to just serve one group of people, but to serve everybody, and to serve everybody in the most logical way.
Yeah, so in that statement, you kind of touched on this a little bit, that our mission is to empower people to live their best lives now. And obviously in the care support center, and the people that are working in the field, they get to see that firsthand. But working more in an office function as a business analyst, what do you think that empowering people to live their best lives now means to you?
I do, at the very base of my role, is supporting those that get to see it on a day-to-day basis. So empowering people to speak up and ask questions, to empower people to say, hey, yeah, this works, but can it work like this? And does it make sense for it to do this? Because by asking questions and really getting curious about what a system can do, you're positioning yourself to learn more about it, and you're positioning yourself to grow it and make it better, which is what we all, I think, should be. That should all be our end goal. So because it makes sense to keep improving. I mean, change is our only constant. So if we're changing in a way that can just be better and better and better, then we can empower our patients and our clinicians and our care support team to just be able to handle those complicated periods in people's times, or people's time in their life. So I don't know, just being curious and asking questions and just empowering yourself to get familiar with what we're doing and not being afraid to ask those tough questions, or even just simple questions, just because you're curious. I think that's what it's all about.
I think that's absolutely right. And I want to shift our focus here at the end of the podcast to talk about the culture at Prospero Health. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but namely, I want to talk about the transparency within the company. Do you feel like between the leadership or expectations that there's a good amount of transparency?
I would say yes. There's always conversation on what's going on and what we can do better and how we can improve things, not just for our launch date and for new markets, but just as we go through things. And it's already on our roadmap to say, okay, we're going to have these things for launch date, and how soon can we have these improvements thereafter, and in what way can we roll these out so that it makes sense for our end users. It's really cool to see, because I can say something on one call, and then almost in an immediate manner, it's gotten to leadership to say, okay, well, what can we do? And it's not just a top-down trickle effect. It's really across the board with the transparency and saying, okay, this decision is made. Does it make sense? And then kind of back and forth and working with that leadership team to make sure that everything is working together.
Yeah. So when it comes to, team members associating with other team members, do you think that we all have a voice in the company, no matter what position we work in?
I do. I think that some people have a harder time finding their voice, but I do think that everybody's voice matters. I really do, because within training and just witnessing some of the initial training that we've done so far, when somebody raised a question, it was immediately put on the parking lot, and that parking lot was then given to leadership to be able to answer questions. And then there was a segment at the end of each training to say, okay, these are the parking lot items, these are the answers that we have for you. And while we all know that we're not always going to have the answers for everything, every single question that we have, and some of these answers we really can't give to you right now, but it's almost a promise to say, I can't do this right now, but I promise to keep looking into it, and being advocates for not only the patients, but the care support team and the clinicians, and even our leadership team. I mean, I think that they're advocates for the mission of what we're doing, but also advocates for their staff. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's great. So the last question I've got for you is, a lot of people listening to this, they're potential team members. They might be wondering, am I fit for this job? Or, what qualifies me to work here? Who do you think that this job is right for?
I think it's right for anybody who thrives within change, anybody who is a self-starter, self-motivated, can really hit the ground running when it comes to asking questions and problem solving, and just leveraging themselves as a tool to not just get the job done, but leverage them as a person who can improve upon what they're doing. So like I said, self-starter, self-motivated, problem solving, naturally curious. I think that you kind of have to naturally be curious about some of the things that we have going on, just to leverage yourself to get that information and knowledge. But definitely someone who thrives within change, being a startup, and it's constantly changing. It can change from day to day, sometimes even within the same day. Even as we grow in companies that aren't a startup, changes are only constant. So it just makes sense to be able to thrive within that and cope and adapt and adjust.
Yeah, I'd have to completely agree with that statement. Well, Lindy, that's all I had for you. I do really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Perfect. Thank you, Nathan. I had a lot of fun.
And to all of you listening, I hope that you found this podcast helpful today. If you would like more information about employment with our company, feel free to visit prospero-health.com. or contact us at jobs@prospero-health.com. And you can also find more information about our team when you visit our Indeed, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn pages to view our available positions. So thanks again for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whatever it may be. And we'll talk in the next one.